Hello, Hannah here. The video you're about to watch is a clip from my podcast, Doing It, and my guest this week is Justine Fonte, who is a sex educator from New York, and this clip is all about porn literacy for young people. But if you listen to the full episode wherever you get your podcasts, we also have a massive chat about Justine's recent experience of a backlash from parents and conservative media in terms of her porn literacy classes for young people, and what the hell happened. And it's really infuriating, but a really important story, I think, to kind of learn from. And if you're a teacher or a parent who is in favor and supportive of sex positive classes in school, then also like what you can do to help like faculty members if they are facing any kind of backlash kind of thing. I hope you enjoy this clip. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Like I said, you can listen to the whole thing wherever you get your podcasts, and also the full video is available for patrons. I hope that you enjoy.
I think with like any type of media, Hannah, we need to be literate about, how what we're seeing has gone through many different like layers of approval with a certain intentionality, right? And so we forget that this isn't these aren't just like people that just hop on a screen like when we're, I don't know, taking a selfie. It's they have auditioned, they have a specific criteria that they're meeting, that's being asked of them, and we also need to make the distinction between mainstream pornography and pornography as a whole. I'm always careful to mention that mainstream pornography is what I'm bringing in as the one to really be critiquing when I'm especially in school spaces with school-age children.
Because that's
Because
the
it's
one
the
that
mainstream.
most people will have access to.
Exactly. It's the free porn. It's the accessible porn. When we're talking about an 8-year-old that is, clicking on a pop-up that, appears on their iPad or on their computer, when they're Googling something else, we're talking about mainstream porn, the porn that's easy to get to, because that's what is being accessed by most people and especially by younger people. Because there is ethical porn out there. There is feminist porn out there. There is a lot of porn that is allowing us to really explore our sexuality in safe and fulfilling and pleasurable ways. And those 3 adjectives are the ones I use in all of my talks: safety, fulfillment, and pleasure. Does mainstream porn, however, allow you to be able to experience safety, fulfillment, and pleasure in a way that is true in real life? And oftentimes the answer is no. Or it's yes after you have to filter through a lot of shit first.
Yeah.
And that's often not what young people are doing, especially when they're watching porn in a household that wouldn't allow them to. They're trying to get shit done within minutes time.
Yep.
Whereas adults, like, no one's parenting them usually.
Time to browse.
Right. We got time to browse and you have much more of a lived experience probably if you're sexually active with other people to compare that body is not a body that I'd normally see, or that move is not a move that is normal for someone who's not an acrobat, right? Or I've been in a relationship where it wasn't that easy for something like that to happen. Like, you actually have a metric you can compare
have a point
it to.
of reference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But young people, many of them, they might not even been sexually active yet, and they're being introduced into either intercourse or other intimate behaviors through mainstream porn. And so, they're seeing...
And then that becomes their point of reference for their real life experiences rather than it being the other way around.
So they may be getting such a skewed aspect of what a relationship looks like, what bodies are supposed to look like, who they're supposed to be attracted to, what they're supposed to do to those bodies that they're attracted to, how do you speak to them or not speak to them, and they are learned implied messages about the genres that they are reading that fall under each of that, right? Yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
porn titles for a lot of mainstream porn are really aggressive, offensive, racialized, and they're learning, oh, so when I see a person that is of that race, now I'm going to attach to that in real life that they like being, jizzed on in their face, or they like being choked, or they're always an ex-con, or they're always someone that, likes to do things with their stepmom. Like they're learning all of these, very extreme things about communities now, and particularly communities that have historically always been marginalized. So we don't have a genre that's British. We don't have a genre that's white. But we have a genre for hentai and Japanese and Filipino and Asian MILF, and ebony and Indian, because we are exotified and fetishized. And so we are therefore put in this category as something that you can dehumanize, because we are objectified as a tool to bring you pleasure. And then that gets translated into the real world, aka, dating apps or being catcalled on the street in the same type of language that we're reading in a porn title.
Yeah. It's honestly, when I realized that, like you said, there's no like porn genre for white people, I was like, oh yeah, because white supremacy means that we're just like the default, and like white people don't have a race. It's like it's like a non-category.
Right.
And then
They're
especially
the standard.
and then within the context of porn, if the identifying feature of the people, like in the title, is their race, and then what sex act they're doing or what role they're performing, like you said, you start to tie those things together. You're like, oh, and all Asian women are submissive. That's, that's just
your
thing.
brain literally rewires to think that because of the dopamine hits, where now when I see an Asian woman in real life, I'm going to associate that with subservience, someone that I can dominate, someone that I can choke, someone that I can jizz on their face and she's going to like it. And she also happens to be my math tutor, and that sucked me dry. Like, I mean, there's everything is just the same, as if, what I'm reading in porn or watching in porn is real life. And that harms people. And it harms people who are being subjected to that, preconceived notion.
Yeah. So obviously some of these things you're not going to like say out loud to young people necessarily, because some of them like also may not see porn. And so you obviously don't want to be in a situation where you're traumatizing them in a classroom.
For sure.
And so how do you navigate that with young people? So what we talked about, like porn becoming like their point of reference for sex and relationships.
Yeah.
So what are some good alternatives to start creating like healthy reference points for young people?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't happen all in one lesson. I am brought in to schools often to give a talk on something, but it usually is couched with a lot of other like healthy relationship lessons that they're already getting in maybe their health classes, or I'm actually giving a series of workshops that, talk about healthy relationships centered on safety, fulfillment, and pleasure. And porn literacy happens to be one lesson in that bunch. And so there are like whole lessons on what is abuse, what is a healthy relationship, what are the signs of that, what are the ways that you can, differentiate a friendship from a romantic relationship, how do you express, with consent, how you like someone and show affection. So all of that is like, sex ed that, some students are getting, and is quite comprehensive, so that when they get their media literacy or their porn literacy lesson, we can refer back to, okay, so we've been talking about safety, fulfillment, and pleasure. Is porn sex positive? And some of my high school students will say, it depends if it's ethical porn. And then I go, okay, great. I'm glad that you already know the difference, because we've gotten to that point. So with mainstream porn, is it sex positive? And they said, well, no, because in a lot of ways, they're not teaching us how to have sex in a safe way, because we rarely see protection being used. We don't see consent being, utilized, because the notion is that everyone's down to fuck. We don't see, diverse body types in mainstream porn. We continue to see, body types that are similar to commercials and to like actors and in Hollywood, with a small varying degree. And if we are seeing, diverse body types or diverse identities, it's a genre.
A fetish. Yeah, it's a genre.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so they're seeing already how things are being depicted, and how, white porn performers don't have the same labels as as people of color. And so I'm not saying any of the porn titles. I'm letting students that want to speak share in, anonymous ways through live polls that we'll be doing online. Some will raise their hand and aren't afraid to share, even if that might mean that people will know that they have seen porn. But I normalize up front, where I know that the mainstream porn industry can be very predatory, and that they're trying to get customers and, clientele as early as they can with pop-ups. So I'm telling them, I'm defaulting to believing that all of you have actually been exposed to porn in some way, and not by choice, because it is everywhere. And they're trying to really lure you in at an early age. And when you have bodies that look so different than bodies you normally see, how can you not be curious? So if you haven't come across it, this will still be relevant, because unfortunately, even against your will, you may still be exposed to it.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to be scared of your body when that moment happens.
Or you might have relationships with people who have seen porn
Exactly.
as well.
Exactly. And so right away, I don't say like, all right, anyone that raises their hand, I can assume like who's watched porn on purpose, because that's not the case. And so, I let them know it's normal for you to be curious about your body. It's normal for you to want to seek out pleasure. What's not normal is a dependence on a screen to provide you with pleasure. Because I want you to have such a self-sufficient, pleasurable life that you don't need anything to be attached to in order to experience that pleasure.